Thank you very much for that rather humbling introduction, rather. And I would like to thank all of you for giving me the opportunity to address the gathering here today. The Remains of the Day is one of the most refined pieces of literature that has ever existed in the history of mankind. The story grounds itself upon a butler who works at a mansion known as the Darlington House. And this butler goes on a journey towards aspiring to be a man of dignity, be a gentleman of dignity, and to be a person that embodies dignity. And overall, throughout the story, the emphasis on his dignity and on his journey towards achieving it is emphasized so vividly that it gives us what it means to be human beings of dignity. A very good evening to the chief guests of honor members of the table, interactors, parents, teachers, and everyone present here today. The reason I mentioned this word dignity almost quite consistently over the past few sentences was probably because if I had to introduce a Trinitian or member of this fraternity in one word, it would be that they are gentlemen of dignity. And I will go into explaining why I do so, because over the past year I've had the opportunity of having the best moments of my life with individuals from this fraternity. The people in my closest circle, my closest friends, have been members of this institution. So I do believe that I have somewhat of an understanding as to why I call them gentlemen of dignity. But before I go into the semantics of what I'm about to deliver, I want to mention that Trinity is not just an institution. In my opinion, I think Trinity is a lifestyle. And I have to make it very conspicuously clear that I'm not a Trinitian, I'm a Wesleyite. And although I witness a lot of similarity in the upbringing back at Wesley and the upbringing here at Trinity, I always make a clear point to tell all my Trinitian friends, if I'm blessed with a son someday and he doesn't get into Wesley, Trinity will always be my next option. Only things I have to buy a house in Kandy. But regardless, the upbringing of this institution is something that I call a lifestyle more than an institution. And I think the reason I want to mention that it is a lifestyle is because it is something that we can all relate to in some way or the other. And we do not have to be a part of this fraternity to witness that and to cherish what it means to be a Trinity. The reason I mention that this institution is one of dignity is quite an odd fact because we have so many institutions across the island that also are quite proliferous and quite profound in how they express themselves as members that possess this value of dignity. But why specifically Trinity? It's because they have the one factor which binds their actions, their character, their personality with this word dignity, and that is humility. I mention, and I always mention constantly, that the secret to success is three words. The first is faith, having faith in a superior being and having faith in yourself. The second word is perseverance. It's consistently being able to fall down and get back up, fall down and get back up, fall down and get back up, and keep rising up the ladder. And I always mention the last and most fundamental word for any of these factors to be not considered null and void is the word humility. Because without humility, you cannot have faith. You cannot have faith in a superior being, and you cannot have faith in yourself. And without humility, of course, you would never persevere because you would always think you are the best at what you do and there's nothing you can improve by. Which is why I always mention that the crux of success, the crux of the fundamentals of being a successful human being will always lie in this world of humility. The reason I mention this being synonymous with the upbringing of the Trinitian gentleman and the lifestyle of being a Trinitian is because I have witnessed how these gentlemen have carried themselves outside these four walls, how they treat people, how they converse, how they tread on the earth with their feet down. with no pride, with not even an iota of arrogance, but purely as humble men of grit. And this is exactly why I also mentioned before as to how the upbringing that I get back at Wesley and the upbringing that you'll deliver to your students here at Trinity is very synonymous. I recently also had the privilege of encountering a work colleague of one of my superiors who I worked for. And over the course of my work, it was my first day working there, and he took me to the cafeteria to have some lunch. And I witnessed how he engaged with everyone in the cafeteria. How he engaged with all the aunties and uncles that were cleaning the floors, that were cooking the lunch, that were ensuring that everyone had a square meal. And he treated them all with so much love and care. And it grew this seed inside my head. This guy has to be either a state or a Trinitian. And I asked him what your school is, and he goes, I'm from Trinity. Right. So the reason I mention that these values are a lifestyle that has to be followed is because these are the values that our society especially lacks today. The values of humility, the values of understanding that we can do much better than we do, the values of understanding empathy and sympathy and being kind towards others, and the values of ultimately being able to cherish what true success means. A very important sentiment that I constantly preach is the fact that we all have to identify the clear, manifest difference between achievements and success. The achievements of our life may be our paper qualifications, the amount of houses we have, the amount of cars we have, all of those material gains that we gain along the way. It may even be massive awards, massive accolades that we strive for. But at the end of the day, these are all attainments. These are all achievements. And the reason I call them achievements and attainments is because these are palpable. They can be touched. And what can be touched can be broken. As opposed to attainments and achievements, I advise people to take a life of success. A life where you touch the hearts of people. A life where you inspire, a life where you create an impact, a life where you serve, a life where you are happy. Because these are impalpable. These are things that can't be touched. And things that can't be touched can't be broken. This creates somewhat of a solid foundation towards who you want to be, or what you want to be someday. I mentioned the story of the remains of the day upon the inception of his speech, the story of a butler who persevered throughout his lifetime to live a life of dignity. And in his opinion of dignity was living a life of perseverance, a life of diligence, and a life of conscientiousness where he constantly gave back to whoever he served. And the reason this story is called The Remains of the Day is because ultimately he comes to a point where he has a sense of regret that he could have done more with his life. And as he's seated on a bench staring into the sea, the sun is almost going to set. He sits with a gentleman next to him who comes and whispers in his ear, "What are you so worried about?" And he mentions that he regrets not doing much more with his life. And the gentleman then mentioned, "Do you know what the favorite time of day is for me?" And he told, "It's the evening. Because the evening is the remains of the day. The evening is a symbol that as soon as the sun sets, it is going to rise again." So as individuals, if we have not lived lives of humility, if we have attained material possessions, if we have attained a sense of secondary greatness through our achievements, through our accolades and through our awards, it is never too late to realize that the day's remains are still clear. And as long as the day's remains are clear, the sun is always going to rise again. So hopefully, when you all get yourselves up, Lord will lead lives of humility. And through humility, I assure you with utmost conviction that you all will live lives of success. Thank you very much, and we will interact.